Good day everyone, I am Gwyneth de Lacsi, the first reporter of Topic 7, and our report is all about corporate strategy, mergers and acquisitions, strategic alliances. Here in Topic 7 has Chapter Case 9, How Buzz Lightyear, Iron Man, and Darth Vader joined Mickey's family. When Bob Iger became the CEO of the Walt Disney Company in 2005, he had a risky idea to buy Pixar. Pixar and Disney had a joint venture to co-produce Pixar's films including blockbusters like Toy Story, Monsters Inc., and Finding Nemo. But Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple and Pixar, had said publicly in 2004 that the relationship between Pixar and Disney was ending. It is because the companies couldn't agree on a distribution deal. CEO Iger saw that Disney Animation needed a huge improvement. He thought the fastest way to accomplish that is to buy Pixar, but it is the riskiest and the most expensive way. And this is how Buzz Lightyear joined Mickey's family. Disney originally passed on buying Marvel because some executives thought it would tarnish the brand, according to CEO Bob Iger. Marvel became one of the mouse house's most lucrative assets thanks to the box office success of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But Disney could have bought Marvel even earlier if some executives didn't have objections. A handful of executives thought Marvel was too edgy and would tarnish the Disney brand. CEO Iger revealed that his predecessor, former CEO Michael Eisner, wanted to buy Marvel. When CEO Iger thought on buying Marvel, he enlisted the help of his friend and Apple co-founder Steve Jobs. He asked help from Jobs to reach out to Marvel's chairman and former CEO Ike Perlmutter to vouch for him. And that's how Iron Man joined Mickey's family. Disney is buying Lucasfilm, adding the legendary Star Wars franchise to the entertainment giant stable of characters.
The purchase culminates a 1.5-year pursuit of the Lucas Empire, CEO Iger said.
The purchase also included the special effects house Industrial Light and Magic, Skywalker Sound, and video game company LucasArts. This deal is Disney's fourth largest acquisition. This is how Darth Vader joined Mickey's family. How an alliance with Pixar turned into an acquisition, and how Disney then rounded out its brand portfolio with subsequent acquisitions. Pixar-Disney alliance broke down altogether in 2004. After CEO Michael Eisner left Disney in the fall of 2005, Disney acquired Pixar for $7.4 billion. In 2009, Disney turned to acquisitions again. The acquisition of Marvel Entertainment for $4 billion added Spider-Man, Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, and Captain America to its lineup of characters. In 2012, Mickey's newly extended family was joined by Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Princess Leia, and Luke Skywalker when Disney acquired Lucasfilm for over $4 billion. Using alliances and acquisitions, Disney has amassed an impressive family of superheroes. I briefly discussed earlier on how they joined Disney. So here's the people behind the success of Walt Disney. So in the left picture is the founder of Walt Disney. He is Walter Elias Disney. The person second to the left is Michael Eisner, the former Disney CEO, and the one who wanted to buy Marvel. The person on the right in business suit is Robert Iger, a former CEO of Walt Disney and the one who had the idea to buy Pixar. The second from the right person is Steve Jobs, who played an important role and helped Robert Iger to acquire Marvel. Disney's ability to create value via the resources acquired from these targets through multiple channels, not only movies but theme park rides, toy sales, and television series, Many of these synergistic opportunities were not available to the firms prior to their acquisition by Disney. Also, that Disney learned from Pixar's processes during its earlier alliance and used that knowledge. The next topic is mergers and acquisitions. Mergers is the joining of two similar sizes independent companies to make one joint entity, while acquisition is the purchase of another company and hostile takeover is the acquisition of the company which does not want to be acquired. The next topic is merging with competitors. Under of it is the horizontal integration. Horizontal integration is the process of acquiring or merging with competitors, leading to industry consolidation. It is a strategy where a company acquires, mergers, or takes over another company in the same industry value chain. For example, in pharmaceutical industry, Pfizer merging with Wyeth in 2009. There are three main benefits to a horizontal integration: lower cost, reduction in competitive intensity, and increased differentiation. Reduction in competitive intensity. The result of industry consolidation is fewer companies operating in the industry and less intense competition. Lower cost. The result of horizontal integration is one larger company which produces more services and products. The higher output leads to greater economies of scale and higher efficiency. And increased differentiation. The combined company can offer more product or service features.
So next up is, why do firms make acquisition? Acquisition is described as the purchase or takeover of one company to another. It is a corporate action in which one company purchases most or all of another company's shares to gain control of that company. So, there are three main reasons why do firms make acquisitions. First up is to gain access to new markets and distribution channels. And when we say distribution channels, it refers of a chain of business through which a good or services passes until it reaches the final buyer or the end consumer. It includes the wholesalers, retailers, distributors, and so on. Second is to gain access to a new capability or competency. When we say capability, it is a condition of having the capacity to do something. On the other hand, competence is the improved level of capability that means to apply or to use set of related knowledge, skills, and abilities that can perform. Last one is, firms make acquisition to preempt rivals. Preemptive strategies often offer the best opportunity to gain advantage over competitors. It is an attack to weaken or damage an opponent. It is doing an advanced action, for example, ranging from threatening major investment and securing critical skills to cornering raw materials and components and positioning products in a unique way. Firms sometimes make acquisition to overcome entry barriers. Merging with competitors can allow firms to gain access to new markets and distribution challenge. So we are here now to discuss the story of food fight of Kraft's hostile takeover of Cadbury. In 2010, Kraft Foods bought its UK-based competitor Cadbury plc for close to $20 billion in hostile takeover. Unlike the more diversified food products company Kraft, Cadbury was focused solely on candy and gum. Hailing back to 1824, Cadbury established itself in markets across the globe in concert with the British Empire. Kraft needed Cadbury to provide scale for the snack business, especially in emerging markets such as India. The challenge for Kraft was how to buy Cadbury when it's not for the sale. It is difficult for outsiders like Kraft to break into emerging economies because earlier entrants have developed and perfected their distribution system to meet needs of millions of small, independent vendors. In the US market, the Cadbury acquisition allows Kraft greater access to convenience stores, give it a new distribution channel, and opens a market for it that is growing fast and tends to have high profit margins. To achieve its stronger strategic position in the domestic market, Kraft has to compete with the Hershey Company, the largest U.S. chocolate manufacturer. This battle is intense because Hershey's main strategic focus is on the domestic market with the US. Hershey's entry into China is the company's first new product launch outside the United States. With Hershey's attention on China, Kraft would have a window of opportunity for gaining market share in the US market. Larger firms such as GE, Cisco, Siemens, and Microsoft often engage in serial acquisition to maintain a window on the latest technology developments. These companies acquire small startups not only to gain access to a new capability or competency, but also to prevent rivals from doing so. Google, the leader in online search and advertisement, engaged in a number of smaller acquisition to tech ventures to fill gaps in its competency lineup. In 2006, Google bought YouTube, the video sharing website, for $1.65 billion. Also motivated by the desire to gain new capability, Facebook acquired Instagram, a photo and video sharing social media site, for $1 billion in 2012. Likewise, Yahoo is attempting to fill a gap in its social networking capabilities by acquiring Tumblr for $1.1 billion in 2013. In 2013, Google purchased the Israel startup company Waze for $1 billion. Google acquired Waze to gain access to a new capability and prevent rivals from gaining access. Waze's claim to fame is its interactive mobile map app. Google is already the leader in online maps and wanted to extend this capability to mobile devices. Perhaps even more importantly, Google's intent was to prevent its competitors, Apple and Facebook, from buying Waze. Apple and Facebook are each comparatively weaker than Google in increasingly important interactive mobile map and information services segment. Google engaged in a somewhat larger acquisition when it bought Motorola's cell phone unit for $12.5 billion in 2011. This was done to gain access to Motorola's valuable patent holdings in mobile technology. The Motorola acquisition also enables Google to integrate hardware and software more seamlessly. In turn, this positioned Google better to compete with Apple and Samsung in mobile devices. Let's move on to M&A and competitive advantage. M&A is the abbreviation of mergers and acquisition that refers to a range of financial transactions whereby businesses are bought and sold. It says that it increases the value of accelerate growth of a business. So, the question is, do mergers and acquisition really create competitive advantage? The answer is, surprisingly, is that in the most cases, they do not. We can tell mergers and acquisition most of the cases it develops rather than create shareholder value. Despite of that, why we see so many mergers? So there are three main reasons why we see a lot of mergers. First one is principal agent problem. Managers as agents are supposed to act in the best interest of the principals, the shareholders. However, managers may have the incentives to grow their firms through acquisition not for anticipated shareholder appreciation but to build larger empire which is positively accelerated with prestige, power, and pay. So even though they know that it can be destroyed, the firm managers convincing themselves that they can manage the firm more effectively and successful to create additional shareholder value. So although they are aware of what merger and acquisition can do to the firm, they think that they are an exception to that. So the second one is the desire to overcome competitive disadvantage. Mergers are not motivated by gaining competitive advantage but by overcoming a competitive disadvantage. For example, to compete more successfully with Nike, the worldwide leader in sports shoes and apparel, Adidas acquired Reebok for $3.8 billion in 2006. This acquisition allowed the now larger Adidas Group to benefit from economies of scale and scope that were unachievable when Adidas and Reebok operated independently. Overcoming a competitive disadvantage may put an organization on the road to gaining competitive advantage. The last is superior acquisition and integration capability. Even if it is an average that it can destroy rather than create shareholder value, it does not mean that the other firms are not continually capable of identify, acquire, and integrate targets company to strengthen their competitive position.
Good day everyone, my name is Jaclyn Luayon from BSB FM2. Before we proceed to the next topics, let's differentiate mergers from acquisition. Merger. Describe the joining of two independent companies to form a combined entity. While acquisition describes the purchase or takeover of one company by another. It can be friendly or hostile. Although there is a distinction between mergers and acquisition, many observers simply use the umbrella term mergers and acquisition or M&A. The firms can use M&A activity for competitive advantage when they possess a superior relational capability which is often built on superior alliances management capabilities. Most mergers and acquisition destroy shareholder value because anticipated synergies never materialize. Merger and acquisition are a popular vehicle for corporate-level strategy implementation for three reasons. First, because of principal-agent problems. Second, the desire to overcome competitive disadvantage. Third, the quest for superior acquisition and integration capability. Let's proceed to the principal-agent problems. When discussing diversification in the previous chapter, we noted that some firms diversify through acquisition due to principal-agent problems. Managers, as agents, are supposed to act in the best interest of the principal, the shareholders. However, managers may have incentives to grow their firms through acquisition, not for anticipated shareholder value appreciation, but to build a larger empire, which is positively correlated with prestige, power, and pay. Besides providing higher compensation and more corporate perks, a larger organization may also provide more job security, especially if the company pursues unrelated diversification. The principal agent problem is a major disadvantage of organizing economic activity within firms as opposed to within markets. We also heard from corporate governance that the principal agent problems in which occur anytime an agent performs activities on behalf of a principal. These problems can arise whenever a principal delegates decision-making and control over resources of agents, with the expectation that they will act in the principal's best interest. In many real-world examples, the agent will not prioritize the best interests of the principal, but will instead pursue his own goals. Politicians, as the agents, and voters, as the principals, is an example of the principal-agent problem. Another example, the owner, as a principal of a firm, will elect a board of directors. The board of directors monitor and guide the management team, like C-level executive, as the agents. More often than often, these agents will act in their own best interest. For example, green lighting a massive project that gives them more authority or prestige instead of pursuing something else that could maximize shareholder value. The principal agent problem can be solved by aligning the interests of both parties, as the agent that works on behalf of the principal may have different incentives. It is important to bring this in line as much as possible. A related problem is managerial hubris, a form of self-delusion in which managers convince themselves of their superior skills in the face of clear evidence to the contrary. The managerial hubris is the unrealistic belief held by managers in bidding firms that they can manage the assets of a target firm more efficiently than the target firm's current management. Merger hubris is one reason a manager may choose to invest in a merger that on average generates no profits. Managerial hubris comes in two forms. First, managers of the acquiring company convince themselves that they are able to manage the business of the target company more effectively and therefore create additional shareholder value. This justification is often used for an unrelated diversification strategy. Second, although most top-level managers are aware that the majority of acquisitions destroy rather than create shareholder value, they see themselves as the exceptions to the rule. Managerial risk has led to many ill-fated deals, destroying billions of dollars. For example, Quaker Oats Company acquired Snapple because its managers thought Snapple was another Gatorade, which was a successful previous acquisition. The difference was that Gatorade had been a stand-alone company and was easily integrated, but Snapple relied on a decentralized network of independent distributors and retailers who did not want Snapple to be taken over and who made it difficult and costly for Quaker Oats Company to integrate Snapple. The acquisition failed, and Quaker Oats itself was taken by PepsiCo. Snapple split out and eventually ended up being part of the Dr. Pepper Snapple Group. Another example of managerial hubris, some corporate failures, such as Enron, Global Crossing, the National Kidney Foundation, Tyco, Parmalat, Vivendi, Universal, and WorldCom, had been anecdotally attributed to managerial hubris that is overconfidence mixed with excessive pride. Next, the desire to overcome competitive disadvantage. In some instances, mergers are not motivated by gaining competitive advantage, but by overcoming a competitive disadvantage. For example, to compete more successfully with Nike, the worldwide leader in sports, shoes, and apparel, Adidas, number 2, acquired Reebok, number 3, for $3.8 billion in 2006. This acquisition allowed the now larging Adidas Group to benefit from economies of scale and scope that were unachievable when Adidas and Reebok operated independently. Overcoming its competitive disadvantage against Nike in turn strengthened Adidas' competitive position. Indeed, overcoming competitive disadvantage may put an organization on the road to gaining a competitive disadvantage. The desire to overcome competitive disadvantage that might lead to competitive advantage in the long run, but not necessarily. It leads to economies of scale and scope. Most importantly, the firm does not want to have a competitive disadvantage anymore. Competitive disadvantage and competitive advantage. A competitive advantage refers to factors that allow a company to produce goods or services better or more cheaply than its rival, while competitive disadvantage is a condition or circumstance that causes you to lag the competition in a particular area. Disadvantages include things such as know-how, scale, scope, location, distribution, quality, product features, process efficiency, productivity, and cost. Prevention of competitive disadvantage. Each company tries to function in the best possible way and lead its business in such a way that it generates the highest possible income. However, this is sometimes not possible because of the various factors which are worse than those of their competitors. Research shows that the best way to remove competitive disadvantage is to radically change your current behavior and take significant risks. Superior acquisition integration capability. Acquisition and integration capabilities are not equally distributed across firms, although there is strong evidence that mergers and acquisitions on average destroy rather than create shareholder value. It does not exclude the possibility that some firms are consistently able to identify, acquire, integrate targets companies to strengthen their competitive positions, since it is valuable, rare, and difficult to imitate. A superior acquisition and integration capability, together with past experience, can lead to competitive advantage. Cisco Systems, a networking and telecommunication company, is one such firm with an exemplary acquisition record. To position itself more strongly after the 2001 bursting of the Internet and tech stock bubble, Cisco embarked on an acquisition-led growth strategy in which it acquired more than 150 technology companies. Through this process, it diversified from computer networking routers to local area networking switches, voice over IP or internet telephony, and home networks, while Cisco acquired many smaller technology companies. It also acquired several larger firms including Lacsi, Scientific Atlanta, and WebEx, now each multi-billion-dollar business unit in their own right. Cisco buys successful companies, provides them with important complementary assets, and then lets them continue to be successful more or less on their own. Cisco has developed a template to monitor, evaluate, select, buy, and integrate technology vendors. It benefits from learning and experience curve effects accumulated through its large number of acquisitions. Because of the super integration template, Cisco keeps the management of the larger firms it acquired and manage the relationships more like strategic alliances than acquisitions. In stark contrast to Cisco, HP did not have much expertise in selecting, pricing, and integrating technology acquisition. HP wrote off completely some of its recent technology acquisition, taking billions of dollars in losses. In 2011, HP acquired Palm, a pioneer in personal digital assistants or PDAs. HP's strategic intent was to leverage the Palm WebOS mobile operating system into a stronger position in the fast-growing smartphone and tablet computer markets in order to compete more effectively with Apple's lead. Not even a year later, HP wrote off almost $2 billion and declared the Palm OS acquisition a failure. HP capitulated to Apple and decided to exit the mobile device industry. Even more disastrous was HP's acquisition of the UK-based enterprise software company's autonomy. In 2011, HP spent a whopping $11 billion for the company, only to write down $9 billion some 2 years later. We now turn to discussing strategic alliances as the second key vehicle for corporate strategy. The next topic is the strategic alliances. Why do firms enter strategic alliances? Strategic alliances are voluntary arrangements between firms that involve the sharing of knowledge, resources, and capabilities with the intent of developing processes, products, or services. The firms enter many types of alliances, from small contracts that have no bearing on a firm's competitiveness to multi-billion dollar joint ventures that can make or break the company. An alliance, therefore, qualifies as strategic only if it has the potential to affect a firm's competitive advantage. Strategic alliances is an umbrella term that denotes different hybrid organizational forms, among them long-term contracts, equity alliances, and joint ventures, given in today's competitive landscape as the key vehicle to execute a firm's corporate strategy. The use of strategy alliances to implement corporate strategy has exploded since the 1980s, with thousands forming each year. Strategic alliances may join complementary parts of a firm's value chain, such as R&D and marketing, or they may focus on joining the same value chain activities. Strategic alliances are attractive because they enable firms to achieve goals faster and at lower cost than going it alone. Globalization has also contributed to an increase in cross-border strategic alliances. The strategic have the goal of sharing knowledge, resources, and capabilities in order to develop processes, products, or services. An alliance qualifies as strategic if it has a potential to affect a firm's competitive advantage by increasing value and for lowering costs. A strategic alliance has the potential to help a firm gain and sustain a competitive advantage when it joins together resources and knowledge in a combination that obeys the VRIO principles that is introduced in Chapter 4. The locus of competitive advantage is often not found within the individual firm but within a strategic partnership. A strategic helps a firm gain and sustain a competitive advantage. It enables firms to achieve goals faster and at lower cost than going alone. Allows firms to circumvent potential legal repercussions. According to this relational view of competitive advantage, critical resources and capabilities frequently are embedded in strategic alliances that span firm boundaries. Applying the VRO framework introduced in Chapter 4, we know that the basis for competitive advantage is formed when a strategic alliance creates resource combinations that are valuable, rare, and difficult to imitate, and the alliance is organized appropriately to allow for value capture. In support of this perspective, over 80% of Fortune 1000 CEOs indicated in a recent survey that more than one quarter of their firm's revenues were derived from strategic alliances. The relational view of competitive advantage a strategic management framework that proposes that critical resources and capabilities frequently are embedded in strategic alliances that span firm boundaries. The strategic alliance is an arrangement between two companies to undertake a mutually beneficial project while each retains its independence. The agreement is less complex and less binding than a joint venture, in which two businesses pool resources to order a separate business entity. Using a strategic alliance, H&M DreamWorks Animation (FKG) created the Halo Collaboration Studio, which makes virtual communication possible around the globe. Halo's conferencing technology gives participants the vivid sense that they are in the same room. The conference rooms of clients match down to the last detail, giving participants the impression that they are sitting together at the same table. DreamWorks produced the computer-animated movie Shrek 2 using this new technology for its meeting. People with different creative skills, scriptwriters, computer animators, directors, through dispersed geographically, were able to participate as if in the same room, even seeing the work on each other's laptops. Use of the technology enabled faster decision-making, enhanced productivity, reduced or even eliminated travel time and expense, and increased job satisfaction. Either HP or DreamWorks would have been able to produce this technology breakthrough alone, but moving into the video conferencing arena together via strategic alliance allowed both partners to pursue related diversification. Moreover, HP's alliance with DreamWorks Animation (SKG) enables HP to compete head-on with Cisco high-end video conferencing solution Telepresence. A company may enter into a strategic alliance to expand into a new market, improve its product line, or develop an edge over a competitor. The arrangement allows two businesses to work toward a common goal that will benefit both. The relationship may be short or long term, and the agreement may be formal or informal.
Good day everyone, I am Marianne Grande and I will be discuss about why do firms enter strategic alliances. But first, let me define what strategic alliances is. A strategic alliance is the partnership between businesses in which parties combine effort to synergize their businesses. Strategic alliances create value by leveraging the comparative advantage of each company to improve overall profitability and move towards a common goal. The basic idea behind strategic alliances is to maximize the leverage in the marketplace while minimizing the risk. Also, strategic alliances are becoming more and more a common tool for expanding the reach of your company without committing yourself to expensive internal expansions beyond your core business. So why do firms enter strategic alliances? A company may enter into a strategic alliances to expand into a new market, improve its product line, or develop an edge over a competitor. The arrangement allows two businesses to work toward a common goal that will benefit both businesses. Because strategic alliances have the goal of sharing knowledge, resources, and capability in order to develop processes, products, or services. That's why firms enter strategic alliances to have a positive effect on economic value creations, because a strategic alliance has the potential to help a firm gain and sustain a competitive advantage when it joins resources and knowledge that are difficult to imitate. The common reason why firms enter alliance. The first reason is the strengthened competitive position, wherein Firms can use strategic alliances to change the industry structure in their favor. They may also initiate these alliances by themselves to challenge market leaders and thus change the underlying market structure to strengthen their competitive position and profitability within the industry. The competitive positioning is about defining how you will differentiate your offering and create value for your market. It's about carving out a spot in the competitive landscape, putting your stake in the ground and winning mind share in the marketplace. Being known for a certain something and owning a strong position in the market is challenging for most small to mid-sized companies, but you have a better chance of achieving it if you clearly define a strategy and build your brand around it. Firm enters strategic alliances because they see that it can strengthen their competitive position, where firms can use strategic alliances to change the industry structure in their favor. For example, firms frequently use strategic alliances when competing in so-called battles for industry standard. And because of that, strategic alliances can be vital for organizations looking to create or access capabilities they need to keep pace with a transforming business environment and to seize new opportunities. Getting this partnership right, however, it requires deliberate efforts involving strategic decisions, partner evaluations, and longer-term alliance management. Next one is the strategic alliances to challenge Amazon. Here it shows how Apple orchestrated a web of strategic alliances with publishing houses to challenge Amazon's early lead in the delivery of e-content. Jeff Bezos is the founder of Amazon, the world's largest online retailer. Amazon began business by selling only one product, which is books. Over time, it expanded into CDs and later gradually leveraged its online retailing capabilities into a wide array of products offerings. As the world's largest online retailer and given the need to build huge data center to its service, Amazon decided to leverage spare capacity. And now, Amazon also offers its Kindle line of tablet computers, wherein in year 2007, Amazon established its Kindle device as a dominant e-reader by offering content, ebooks, newspaper, and magazine for instant download at heavy discounted price, where Kindle users paid $9.99 for ebooks including new releases and the New York Times bestsellers, and because of that, Amazon lost money on each ebook sold because it had to pay publishers between $12.99 and $14.99 per ebook. Still, it was able to leverage this pricing strategy to establish Kindle as the dominant e-reader with 90% market share. The selling below cost is the same pricing strategy Amazon had used successfully when it first established itself as the leading e-tailer in sales of printed books. However, the Amazon's ebook pricing strategy did not sit well with content providers because they did not want to set an expectation in consumers' mind that all ebooks should be priced at $9.99. Apple crafted a different ebook business model to attack Amazon's stronghold. Apple orchestrated a web of strategic alliances with major publishing houses such as HarperCollins, Macmillan, and Simon & Schuster prior to launching its iPad product. To incentivize the publishers, Apple offered to let the content providers set the sale prices directly for the end consumers, and these alliances aided Apple in populating its iBook store with much-needed content for iPad when it launched in 2010. The publishers set retail prices and Apple would take a 30% cut. Their alliances with Apple also gave the publishers much-needed leverage in negotiation with Amazon by applying industry structural analysis and bargaining the power of suppliers. The content provider increased from Amazon's perspective because the book publishers even threatened to withhold or delay books title if Amazon will not change its pricing strategy. And because of that, Amazon reluctantly changed its ebook pricing strategy and now charge between $12.99 and $14.99 for some new releases, which allow them to break the consumer's expectation that ebook should be priced at $9.99. The U.S. Department of Justice suspected collusions between Apple and the book publishers because it alleged that book publishers conspire to fix prices which are illegal, and the U.S. slapped Apple and 5 of the nation's 6 largest publishers with an antitrust lawsuit charging that the group, in a bid to blunt Amazon's dominance, conspired to raise the prices that consumers pay on ebooks. The lawsuit filed by the Justice Department in U.S. District Court in Manhattan said the effort by those involved was intended to counter popular pricing of $9.99 set by Amazon, wherein the publishers team up with Apple to restrain retail price competition, according to the lawsuit, to the detriment of consumers. As a result, when Apple was accused of conspiring to undercut Amazon.com Incorporation ebook dominance, causing some ebook prices to rise to $12.99 or $14.99 from the price of $9.99 or other low prices, instead sold under an agency model agreement that usually price in $12.99 or $14.99. The moves underscore the publishing industry concerns for Amazon control of ebook pricing. Publishers saw the so-called agency model as a way to prevent dominance of ebooks by Amazon and the lowering of prices to levels unsustainable for themselves and booksellers. Since Amazon 2007 launch of its popular Kindle reader, the online giant has sold and set price expectation for bestseller at a standard of $9.99. Amazon announced plan to push down prices on ebook. The price of some major titles could fall to $9.99 or less than $14.99, saving voracious readers a bundle. Amazon, which already controls about 60% of the ebook market, can take a loss on every book it sells to gain market share for its Kindle devices. When it has enough competitive advantage, it can dictate its own terms, something publishers say is beginning to happen. And in the year 2007, with the introduction of the Kindle e-reading device, not long after the launch of Apple iPad, the two rivals teamed up to distribute Amazon's ebooks through the iPad Kindle app. It was a convenient trade-off where Amazon got a wider market for its Kindle and the Apple iPad became a more comprehensive content provider. Thus, both firms create a captures value together in the domain of iPad content providing, while they simultaneously compete with the Kindle Fire and iPad platforms. Amazon's strategy involved buying ebooks at wholesale and then selling them at below cost. In an effort to promote its Kindle reading device, their collaboration on a new wave of microprocessors create new markets and opportunities for both firms. Next is the enter new markets. For many companies entering new local markets, their growth strategies can incorporate existing products and services and or leasing new products or services. The business's intent being to create new or increase revenue streams broaden in the consumer base of the company and increase market shares, and as a business owner, you must have a clear competitive strategy for success. While if the expansion into new foreign market as a part of global expansion, even further complications arise as you begin to compete against foreign companies with deep roots in their own countries and costs escalate as you attempt market entry. The approach to new market often applied can vary from a salesperson with a new catalog under the arm to major marketing campaigns to announce your arrival, and many variations in between. The results and profits can be variable as the processes that apply entry to a new market is attractive to businesses due to its advantage and promising extra income. Overall, it can be risky. As a business person, you should get a Get a review of your aims to develop a detailed plan of entering a new market. You are never going to be 100% sure in the successful market entry, but the help of an experienced marketing agency can minimize the risk. There have been many companies whose products have changed and even revolutionized the way which we live, but it's hard to find one which has had the global impact of Microsoft. Here, Microsoft thought that leader in PC-based software has been struggling for years to gain a foothold in the online search and advertising market. In 2004, Microsoft finally gave search the investment that is needed, building in-house search engine technology and putting it live in 2005. They offered their technology to other search engine and internet providers and portals, gaining market share and a cut of advertising revenue. In 2008, Yahoo co-founder and then CEO Jerry Yang revamped Microsoft in 48 billion US dollar acquisition bid for Yahoo, where Microsoft sought to purchase Yahoo in 2008, but after several attempts found its offer rebuffed. Microsoft was able to get a much better deal through a subsequent strategic alliance. Yahoo CEO at the time, Jerry Yang, then said Yahoo was open to a new offer from Microsoft. By July 2009, under new Yahoo CEO Carol Bartz, the idea of acquisition was replaced with a deal where Yahoo gave up its search technology in exchange for listing and ads for Microsoft Bing's search engine, with Yahoo gaining a big cut any ad sales. The deal was less generous than the acquisition's offer from the previous year. Yahoo and Microsoft form a partnership through which Yahoo searches are powered by Microsoft search engine. Being Microsoft can strengthen its competitive positions against Google dominance. Microsoft and Yahoo develop a synergistic alliance where they are more profitable together than they are individual because they share their core competencies. They pursued synergistic alliance because they could capitalize on economic scales and technology transfer, when Yahoo will still innovate and own the user experience on Yahoo properties, including the user's experience for search, even though it will be powered by Microsoft technology. But why did Yahoo agree to the deal? Microsoft will pay Yahoo 88% of the revenue it's gained from searches on Yahoo sites. Microsoft will also have the rights to integrate Yahoo search technology into its own existing web search platform. Yahoo said the agreement would modestly decrease its overall revenue but increase its operating income by about $500 million annually. Under this agreement, Yahoo will focus on its core business of providing consumers with great experience with the world's favorite online destinations and web products. Users will continue to experience search as a vital part of their Yahoo experience and will enjoy increased innovations thanks to the scale and resources this deal provides. Advertisers will also benefit from scale and enjoy greater ease of use and efficiencies working with a single platform and sales team for premium advertisers. Finally, this deal will help us increase our investment in priority areas in winning audience properties, display advertising capabilities, and mobile experience. Next is hedge against uncertainty. Hedging against investment risk means strategically using financial instrument or market strategies to offset the risk of any adverse price movement. Put another way, investors hedge one investment by making a trade in another. Some firms use business-level strategic alliances to hedge against risk and uncertainty. Especially in fast cycle markets. Also, they are used where uncertainty exists, such as in entering new products market or emerging economies. In other instances, firms form business-level strategic alliances to reduce the uncertainty associated with developing new products or establishing a technology standard. It is a dynamic capability in organizations' ability to integrate, build, and reconfigure internal and external competencies to address rapid changing environment. Real options or perspectives is when a company makes incremental investments as part of a larger investment and takes the time to analyze the information gained following each incremental investment. As real options theory has also relatively recent been recognized as a useful tools for analyzing strategic alliances. The real options perspectives allow a firm to obtain additional information at predetermined stages. At each stages, after new information is revealed, the firm evaluates whether or not to make further investment. In a sense, a real options, which is the right but not the obligations to continue making investment, allows the firm to buy time until sufficient information for a go versus no-go decisions is revealed. Real options give a firm's management the right but not the obligations to undertake certain business opportunities or investment, and it refers to projects involving tangible assets versus financial instruments. For examples, in year 1990, the Swiss pharmacy company Roche initially invested 2.1 billion US dollar in an equity alliances to purchase a controlling interest in the biotech such as startup Genentech. Roche, a global pharmaceutical company, was founded in 1896 by Fritz Hoffmann Laroche, who released that the industrial manufactures of standardized medicine will be a major advance in the fight against disease. Roche owned a major stake in Genentech, a successful pioneer in biotech. Although majority owned by Roche, Genentech has a fiercely independent cultures and operated with a great deal of independence. Genentech had become an important part of Roche business in representing 24% of its pharmaceutical product sales in 2008. As it grew, Genentech was increasingly coming into direct competitions with Roche in several U.S. markets. Roche managers were questioning the structures of the Roche-Genentech relationship and believed it was showing signs of wear. The successful organizations such as Roche Genentech are the ones who are able to predict market trends better than others, provide resources to develop products and services to leverage those trends, able to counter competitors' threats and meet consumers' expectations value propositions. In 2009, Apple, witnessing the success of Genentech during discovery and development projects in subsequent years, in a context of substantial uncertainty in both world financial markets and the value of Genentech deal, students are introduced to the pricing of corporate bonds by being invited to price Roche bold global offering. Roche properly integrated Genentech by harmonizing processes across the different partnering teams through Innova's integrated solutions with improved efficiency, usability, and consistency. Roche spent 47 billion US dollar to purchase the remaining minority interest in Genentech, making its wholly owned subsidiaries, and in 2009, Roche acquired Genentech. Roche needed to integrate Genentech into the organizations, and in that year, they had made their biggest strategic move by acquiring one of their partners, which is the Genentech, for about 46 billion US dollar. By acquiring Genentech, Roche becomes the world's biggest biotech. Next is the access critical complementary assets. It is when new firms that are needs of skills and resources to complete the value chains from upstream innovation to downstream commercializations might enter strategic alliances. Complementary assets are assets, infrastructures, or capabilities needed to support the successful commercializations and marketing of a technological innovation. Other than that, those assets fundamentally associated with the innovations. Strategic alliances that bring organizations together promise unique opportunities for partners. The reality is often otherwise successful strategic alliances manage the partnership, not just the agreement for collaborative advantage. Above all, they also pay attention to learning priorities in alliance evolution. For example, new firms are needed of complementary assets to complete the value chains from upstream innovations to downstream commercialization. This implies that a new ventures that has a core competencies in R&D. Strategic alliances allows firms to match complementary skills and resources to complete the value chain. Here, the strategic alliances and the proverbial win-win situations they promise frequently meet with difficulties that can result in the termination of alliances. Typical factors include poor communications, incompatible objectives, inability to share risks, and low performance and flexibilities, control and ownership arrangement. The dynamic evolutions of the alliance as the partnership span times the performance of the alliance and the consequences of the partners. Strategic alliances allow firms to match complementary skills and resources to complete the value chain. Moreover, licensing agreements of this sort allows the partners to benefit from the divisions of labor and allowing each to efficiently focus on its core competencies. Next is learn new capabilities. Firms enter strategic alliances because they are motivated by the desire to learn new capabilities from their partners. It is about knowledge that can only be acquired if it is accessible. But accessibility, though necessary, does not guarantee learning. Learning effectively is primordial, much as in the case of individuals. The capacity of organizations to learn may be constrained of miscellaneous reasons. Co-opetitions. It is the local real estate companies in the city have joined together and arranged a property fair. The sponsors will equally share the experience of the event, though many companies compete against each other, wherein the co-opetitions is the act of cooperations between competing companies. Businesses that engage in both competitions and cooperations are said to be co-opetition. Next is learning races. It is a situation in which both partners are motivated to form an alliance for learning. It is certain business gain an advantage by using a judicious mixture of cooperations with suppliers, customers, and firms producing complementary or related products, and such competition can lead to learning races in strategic alliances, wherein the alliances constitute the learning races, where firms compete to learn as rapidly as possible. It is a situation in which both partners are motivated to form an alliance for learning because the firm that learns faster and accomplish its goal more quickly has an incentive to exit alliance or at a minimum to reduce its knowledge sharing. Next is the NUMMI or the United Motor Manufacturing Corporation, GM and Toyota. Here, NUMMI or the United Motor Manufacturing Incorporation is the factory once run by both General Motors and Toyota. The factory is called NUMMI for short. In NUMMI joint venture, each partner was motivated to learn new capabilities. It was the pioneer joint ventures of General Motors Corporation and Toyota Motor Corporation. NUMMI helped change the automobile industry by introducing the Toyota production system and the teamwork-oriented environment to the United States. GM or the General Motor and Toyota set up the joint venture 25 years ago when both sides had a clear stake in its success. Then Chairman E.J. Toyoda said Toyota hoped to make the plant a model of economic operations between Japan and the United States. GM, which has been cooperating in a U.S. government sponsor, said it was unable to reach an agreement with Toyota on a new production plan for the Fremont, California plant. After extensive analysis, General Motors and Toyota could not reach an agreement on a future product plan that made sense for all the parties. The GM and Toyota have been 50-50 partners in the joint venture plan commonly known by its acronym NUMMI for the United Motor Manufacturing Incorporation since 1984. So who won between the joint venture of Toyota and GM? Toyota took over the Fremont plant, one of GM wares, a factory known defective vehicles, and as a part of a historic joint venture, Toyota turned the plant into one of GM best, practically overnight, but GM will take another decade and a half to begin seriously implementing those lessons in its own factories. That was too long and explained a lot about why it took GM and other Detroit companies so many years to improve the quality of their vehicles. And Toyota, which surpassed GM as the world's top automaker in 2008, had said it wanted to keep the joint venture and expressed disappointment at GM's decision, and said it would consider whether to continue operating the plant on its own. And some GM who work at NUMMI see the joint venture as a lost opportunity and wonder what might have been, because GM did try to replicate NUMMI again at the plant in Van Nuys. However, quality at Van Nuys never did improve, and in year 1992, GM closed the plant. With the market shares collapsing at GM, executives did try to push the NUMMI concept across the company. In the end, the Great Recession sank GM. It destroyed the car market, and in 2009, General Motors became the largest industrial bankruptcy in U.S. history, costing taxpayers more than $50 billion. These factors suggest that Toyota won the learning races with GM, which in turn helped Toyota to gain and sustain a competitive advantage over GM in the US market, because Toyota has a reputation for innovative technology that has brought the conservatively run company to the fore as one of the world's most efficient manufacturers. And that's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I am Adam Robert Lido, and my topic is about governing strategic alliances. But before I start, let me first define what strategic alliance is. It has been discussed earlier that a strategic alliance is a cooperative agreement between two or more companies to work together and share resources to achieve common goals. Types of strategic alliances. There are three types of alliances which a firm may enter. These are the non-equity alliance, equity alliance, and joint ventures. This illustration shows the key characteristics of different types of alliances, which I will discuss later. The first type of strategic alliance which I will discuss is the non-equity alliance. It is the most common type of alliance which is based on contracts between firms, meaning in a non-equity strategic alliance, two or more companies sign a contractual relationship to pool their resources and capabilities together. By saying contractual relationship, we mean supply agreements, distribution agreements, and licensing agreements. Supply agreements involve terms and conditions under which one company will manufacture and supply goods to another. Distribution agreement is a legal agreement between a supplier of goods and a distributor of goods. Licensing agreement, on the other hand, refers to the exchange of codified knowledge by the two or more companies. These contractual agreements are vertical strategic alliances connecting different parts of the industry value chain. When we say vertical strategic alliance, it is the collaboration between a company and its upstream and downstream partners, such as the partnership between suppliers and distributors. In a non-equity alliance, firms tend to share explicit knowledge. A while ago, I mentioned that in an alliance, companies share resources, and that include explicit knowledge. Explicit knowledge is knowledge that can be codified, which concerns the notion of knowing about a certain process or product. In short, it can be easily transmitted to others. It includes patents, user manuals, and scientific publications. One of the examples of non-equity alliance is the licensing agreement between Genentech and Eli Lilly. Genentech developed a drug called human insulin. At that time, Genentech was too small to effectively bring the drug to the market. And so the licensing agreement between Genentech and Eli Lilly happened, in which Eli Lilly licensed the rights to produce, manufacture, and market human insulin based on Genentech's research. Because of their contractual nature, non-equity alliances are flexible and easy to initiate and terminate. However, because they can be temporary in nature, they also sometimes produce weak ties between the alliance partners, which can result in a lack of trust and commitment. This concludes that the non-equity alliance does not last long because it can be terminated easily. Additionally, because of its weak ties, both companies may face conflicts such as lack of trust and commitments. Another type of strategic alliance is the equity alliance. In an equity alliance, at least one partner takes partial ownership in the other partner. This means that in equity alliance, one company takes partial ownership. When we say partial ownership, one company purchases equity in another business. Equity alliances are less common than contractual or non-equity alliances because they often require larger investments, meaning not all companies can enter this alliance because it requires huge amount of investments. Moreover, equity alliance allows the sharing of tacit knowledge. Just like non-equity alliance, there's a sharing of knowledge, but this time, it is the tacit knowledge. When we say tacit knowledge, it concerns knowing how to do a certain task. It can be acquired only through actively participating in the process. This means that tacit knowledge is difficult to transfer to another person by means of writing it down or verbalizing it. This concludes that in order to transfer the tacit knowledge, both partners frequently exchange personnel. One of the examples of equity alliance is the partnership between Toyota and Tesla Motors. Both companies are designer and developer of electric cars. In year 2010, Toyota made a $50 million equity investment to Tesla Motors. Tesla also bought an assembly plant in California that had been part of Toyota. The two companies agreed to cooperate on electric vehicles. Tesla factory efficiently used the production system of Toyota, and on the other hand, Toyota wants to learn and infuse the entrepreneurial spirit of Tesla to its company. This entrepreneurial spirit is the tacit knowledge that Toyota wanted to get. Another governance mechanism that falls under the broad rubric of equity alliances is corporate venture capital investments, or CVC. The CVC investment is the practice of directly investing corporate funds into external startup companies. This is usually done by large companies who wish to invest to small but innovative startup firms. These investments create real options in terms of gaining access to new and potentially disruptive technologies. Equity alliances are often used as a try-before-you-buy strategic option. Aside from this, Equity alliance serve as the stepping stones toward the full integration of the partner firms, which can either be through a merger or an acquisition. The downside of equity alliance is the amount of investment that can be involved. Aside from the amount of investment involved, there is also a possible lack of flexibility and speed in putting the partnership. Another type of strategic alliance is joint ventures. A joint venture, or JV, is a standalone organization created and jointly owned by two or more parent companies. To put it simply, a joint venture is established when the two companies establish a new company. In joint ventures, there is an exchange of both explicit and tacit knowledge through interaction of personnel. Meaning to say, in joint venture, personnel share both tacit and explicit knowledge for the betterment of the firm. Joint ventures are also frequently used to enter foreign markets, where the host country requires such a partnership to gain access to the market in exchange for advanced technology and know-how. Joint ventures are the least common of the three types of strategic alliances. Aside from being the least common type, it also has strong ties, trust, and commitment as its advantages. However, they can entail long negotiations and significant investments. If the alliance doesn't work out as expected, undoing the joint venture can take some time and involve considerable cost. It is also possible that the knowledge shared with the new partner could be misappropriated by opportunistic behavior. That's all. Thank you.
The next topic is about alliance management capability. In an age where alliances are becoming an important part of the firm's strategy, the capability of the firm to manage alliances is widely seen as a source of competitive advantage. But strategic alliances create a paradox for managers, despite the fact that alliances tend to be necessary to succeed in many sectors. Between 30 and 70% of all the strategic alliances fail to offer the intended benefits. And given the high failure or at least disappointment rate, effective alliance management is critical in gaining and in sustaining a competitive advantage, especially in high technology industries. Alliance management capability is a firm's ability to effectively manage three alliance-related tasks concurrently, often across a portfolio of many different alliances, which are the partner selection and alliance formation, alliance design and governance, and the third one is the post-formation of alliance management. When we say partner selection and alliance formation, when making the business case for an alliance, the expected benefits of the alliance must exceed its cost. So, when one or more of the five reasons for the alliance formation are present, which are to strengthen competitive position, enter new markets, hedge against uncertainty, access critical complementary resources, or learn new capabilities, the firm must select the best possible alliance partner. And in selecting partner and forming an alliance, partner compatibility and partner commitment are necessary conditions for successful alliance formation. When we say partner compatibility, it captures the aspect of cultural fit between two or more different firms. So, while the partner commitment is concerned with the willingness to make the available necessary resources and to accept short-term sacrifices in order to ensure long-term rewards. So, the second
alliance-related task is the alliance design and governance, wherein once two or more firms agree to pursue an alliance, managers must then design the alliance and choose an appropriate governance mechanism from among the three options, which are the non-equity contractual agreement, equity alliances, or joint venture. So, for example, in a study of over 640 alliances, researchers found that the joining of specialized complementary assets increased the likelihood that the alliance is governed hierarchically. So, this effect is stronger in the presence of uncertainties concerning the alliance partner as well as the envisioned task. In addition to the formal governance mechanism, interorganizational trust is a critical dimension for alliance success because all contracts are necessarily incomplete, so trust between the alliance partners plays an important role for effective post-formation alliance management, and effective governance can be accomplished only by skillfully combining formal and informal mechanisms. So, the third phase in firm's alliance management capability is the post-formation alliance management, which is concerned with the ongoing management of the alliance. To be a source of competitive advantage, the partnership needs to create resource combination that obey the Brio criteria, or the valuable, rare, costly to imitate and organize. So, how to make the alliances work? We have here the exhibit 9.4 that shows that alliances work if the alliance partners make a relation-specific investments, establish a knowledge-sharing routines, and build inter-firm trust. So, when we say inter-firm trust, it entails the expectation that each alliance partner will behave in a good faith and develop norms of reciprocity and fairness. So, such trust helps ensure that the relationship survives and thereby increases the possibility of meeting the intended goals of the alliance. It is also important for fast decision making. So, the systematic differences in firms' alliance management capability can be source of competitive advantage. Building capability through repeated experiences over the time show that firms moved down the learning curve and became better at managing alliances through repeated alliance exposure, or the learning by doing approach. However, there are clearly limitations for larger companies. In fact, if alliances are not managed from a portfolio perspective at a corporate level, serious negative repercussions can emerge. So, we have here an example. The group, Danone, which is a large brand food conglomerate, lost their leading position in a highly lucrative and fast-growing Chinese market because their local alliance partner, the Hangzhou Wahaha Group, terminated their long-standing alliance because Wahaha accused Danone of subsequently setting up partnership with the other Chinese firms that were a direct competitive threat to Wahaha. So, this example make it clear that although alliances are important pathways by which to pursue business level strategy, they are best managed at a corporate level. So, to accomplish an effective alliance management, strategy scholars suggest that firms create a dedicated alliance function, which is led by a vice president or a director of alliance management and endowed with its own resources and support staff. So the dedicated alliance function should be given the task of coordinating all the alliance-related activity in the entire organization, taking a corporate level perspective. So, Eli Lilly and Company is a pharmaceutical company which is acknowledged as the leader in alliance management. Eli Lilly, a short background of Eli Lilly is it is an American pharmaceutical company headquartered in Indiana with offices in 18 countries. It was founded in 1876 and named after Colonel Eli Lilly, a pharmaceutical chemist and veteran of American War. So, their products are sold in approximately 125 countries, and their notable achievements include being the first company to mass produce the polio vaccine insulin. So, Lilly's Office of Alliance Management, led by a director endowed with several managers, that manages its far-flung alliance activity across all hierarchical levels and around the globe. So, Lilly's process prescribes that each alliance is managed by a 3-person team, which are the alliance champion, alliance leader, and alliance manager. So, when we say alliance champion, it is a senior corporate level executive that is responsible for high-level support and oversight. The senior manager is also responsible for making sure that the alliance fit within the firm's existing alliance portfolio and corporate level strategy. The next one is the alliance leader, which has the technical expertise and knowledge needed for the specific technical area and is responsible for the day-to-day management of the alliance. The last one is the alliance manager. They are positioned within the office of the alliance management and serve as an alliance process resource and business integrator between the two alliance partners, and provides alliance training and development as well as diagnostic tools. So, Eli Lilly has an entire department at a corporate level devoted to managing its alliance portfolio. So, following up on the earlier 50-50 joint venture formed with ICOS Corporation, which is the maker of the $1 billion plus erectile dysfunction drug Cialis. Eli Lilly acquired the ICOS in year 2007. So, a year later, Eli Lilly outmaneuvered Bristol Myers Squibb to acquire biotech venture ImClone for $6.5 billion. ImClone discovered and developed the cancer-fighting drug Erbitux, also a $1 billion blockbuster in terms of annual sales. So, the acquisition of these two smaller biotech ventures allowed Eli Lilly to address its problem of an empty drug pipeline. So, strategy researchers therefore suggested that a corporate level manager should not only coordinate the firm's portfolio of alliances but also leverage the relationship to successfully engage in mergers and acquisitions. So that is rather than focusing on the developing of an alliance management capability in isolation, the firms should develop a relational capability that allows for the successful management of both strategic alliances and mergers and acquisitions. So, some companies are also able to leverage the relational capabilities of the through managing alliance portfolio and successful acquisition strategy like what Eli Lilly has done. And that's all for the alliance management capability. Thank you.